Hey, how's it going, guys? Welcome back. In this next module, we're going to be talking about finding a supplier, contacting and negotiating, and international shipping. Before we get cranking on finding a supplier in these three sections, I just wanted to cram this in real quick because I don't hear anybody talking on it, and I thought that it would fit in perfect in the contacting and finding a supplier. Because if you make your own products, technically you are your own supplier. And I don't hear anybody really talking about this. So really quick, can you private label and sell products that you make? Make sure you check the category that your products fall under. This is a huge thing. A lot of people sell handmade products on eBay and Etsy because there are much less requirements. So a lot of people that private label and make their own stuff, maybe at their house or maybe they have a little studio, um, a lot of times it falls under a restricted category. So go ahead and do the research that we talked about and find out what category your products that you make fall under, and make sure that this is something that you can get into prior to going this direction. You know, if you guys want to start private labeling and you do make your own stuff and sell them on Etsy or eBay on the side, then maybe later down the road, once you gain more experience, then you can get ungated in that category and transition over from eBay and Etsy to Amazon, or even keep Etsy and eBay and use Amazon as a third platform to diversify and broaden your customer base. Next bullet point is make sure you brand your product and include your logo in your pictures as well as the brand name in title. If you do not brand your products or include your logo, you may have hijackers latch onto your listing. This happens with a lot of people who sell products they make. Leeching and hijacking and all that doesn't exist on Etsy and eBay. So I see this a lot with people who make their own stuff, their own crafts or their own products. You know, they come from Etsy or eBay and they come onto Amazon because they know the user base is humongous and they want to grow. They want to grow their little company, their small business. So they come on there and they just take traditional pictures like they would on eBay or Etsy and talk about the product. And what happens is their listing ends up being so broad that you have these sharks, these piranhas, these leeches, these hijackers just attack your listing and steal your business. And it really sucks seeing this. So a couple ways, later on in the course, we're going to talk about how to prevent hijackers and how to get rid of them. But if you're going to sell something that you make, make sure you have your brand name in the title. Make sure you have a logo. If you don't have a logo, you can go over to Fiverr, Fiverr, and get one created for $5. That link will be in the resources section in the dossier. So go over there, get a logo, put that on your brand as well as your image. That way you can try to deter hijackers. And the last section is investigate Amazon Handmade. This is going to replace Etsy and be the new Etsy. So once you find a product, and I'm using this arm sleeve, compression arm sleeve. We've talked about this before as an example. Once you're done with your product research, you find your product. It's time to start looking for a supplier and time to start sourcing that product. A question that I get asked a lot, and a question that you're probably asking yourself currently, is how many units do I source? So the amount of units that you want to source, especially for your first shipment, has two variables. Number one, and the most important one, of course, is what is in your budget? How much funds do you have to allocate towards inventory? Now, this is something that's overlooked. I think a lot of people do product research, they find a killer product, and then they just don't have the funds to source this necessary amount of units that they need. And what happens is they cannibalize their listing because they keep running out of inventory, and then hijackers end up taking over their listing and stealing all their residual business. And it can be a snowball effect that really turns out ugly. So that's number one, is finding out the amount of units that you need based off of daily trends in sales. Number two, like we mentioned, is what you can afford. So how do we find out how many units in that category are selling a day and how many to source? After 60 days, I like to have at least 60 days worth of inventory to make sure I don't run out of inventory. and how I'm going to show you how to find that. But after that 60 days, you don't want to be sitting on a lot of inventory that is not moving, because after 60 days, Amazon's going to start to increase the fulfillment and the warehousing fees, and it'll really eat into your margin. So I'm going to show you how to find out the 6-month trends in sales. So once we find our product on Amazon, we're going to go ahead and start tracking it in the web app on Jungle Scout, and we talked about that. I recommend doing the 3 top sellers. Some do 5, some do 10. You can do that. Let me scroll back here and show you exactly. So I just went ahead and typed in compression arm sleeve. This is a real broad keyword. We want to search the broad keyword like we talked about. Ignore the sponsored. The first 2 positions are sponsored. Ignore these. These are all sponsored. So we went ahead and went with the top 3. This is a dual pack, so this really doesn't exist. This is a specialty. So we went with these first 3 here to go ahead and gather our data. So go into the Jungle web app, all right, and go to product tracker right here. And what you're going to do is right here you're going to list the ASIN. Okay, to get the ASIN, I'm sure everybody knows this, but really quick, just in case you don't, scroll down. You can find the ASIN under product details right here. Copy it, paste it up here, boom, it will start tracking it. So you'll see some different metrics here, and if you click on it, it'll show the reports for 30 days, 60 days, 7 days, etc. I like to go off of 30 days. Okay, and you can kind of see that the 30-day average on these 3 are different. The daily average are different. So you have 5 units sold per day average, 14, and 20. So what I like to do is take the high, which is 20, and the low, which is 5, and take the medium number. So let's say, about 12, or let's even call it 10. 10 is the daily average amount of units that are selling. So get your calculator out, okay? Do 10, and I always go off of a 30-day period. I know a lot of months have 28 days, but go off a 30-day period. Take that 10, okay, times it by 30, and boom, you have 300 units a month on average, which fits our criteria. Then times that by 6 for 6 months, that's going to be 1,800 units. So if you can afford the 1,800 units, go with the 1,800 units. This is the threshold before you're going to get charged the extra fees for the fulfillment and for the warehousing. Now, let's say this is your first order. You don't want to order 1,800 units. When we found that medium number, what the monthly sales is, so between 250 and 300 units would be a good starting point. Once you start to accumulate more funds and you get more advanced and you feel more comfortable, then use that formula to gauge the amount of sales that you can sell within 6 months. And order that. That way you can order less frequently and focus more on pushing out more products. Okay, so that's a quick way to do that. Now you can track these for about a week before doing that. These are pretty accurate, but they're not 100% accurate. You can even go into Google Planner and go into the charts in there. It'll show you monthly charts. Because the search engines are going to be the only place where you can get accurate data. This is just going to go off BSRs and APIs, which is an estimate, but it is the most accurate that we have outside of the search engine. So that's how I find out how many units to order and what the max peak is in the 6 months, because you do not want to get hit with that penalty. You don't want to get hit with that extended product stay charge where after 6 months, they're going to increase that on you. Once we determine that we can afford the amount of inventory that we need, and we know what our numbers are, we know what our daily units sold are, our monthly units sold are, and our 6-month units sold, we can go ahead and start looking for a supplier. So we're going to go over to Alibaba. I just typed in the broad keyword, what we were looking for, arm compression sleeve. We found one. Okay, there's going to be a lot of them on here. You can see the pricing. I just picked the cheapest price, one that looked like they had a nice selection. You can see the prices here, 10 to 99 units, $1.59. 500 max, $1.39. So let's say that we couldn't afford the 1800 and we don't want to start out with that much of a risk. We want to take a smaller risk. We want to go with the 300 units, which will last us 30 days. We can start to get some sales, get some more traction, as well as data. Our unit's going to be $1.49. See, I don't see MOQ. Another thing is you gotta check with minimum order quantities with your suppliers. If you're trying to order 300 and they have 1,000 MOQ, minimum order quantity, sometimes they're really strict on it. But if they're hungry, and with the strategy that I'm going to show you in contacting your supplier, sometimes you can get them to lower their MOQ. Once we find a supplier, okay, we're going to go ahead and contact the supplier. And this is what we're going to send them. This is going to save you guys a lot of time, a lot of headache. We're going to send them what I call a manufacturer template. This is one that I've developed, that I've written. And I'm going to have this in the resources section, in the dossier. You guys are more than welcome to copy this and utilize this yourself. I've left the brackets out, in bold, where all you have to do is go in and type your information. You can modify this. This is one that I use, very similar to what I use, so you can modify it, add anything that you need. But when contacting a supplier, you don't want to just email them and say, hey, my name's Josh. I want to buy 300 of these units. Can I get a better price? When will I get them? Thanks. Chances are you're not going to get the best level of customer service. They're not going to take you serious, and you're definitely not going to get the best rate. You got to understand, these manufacturers, some of these manufacturers are doing 10, 20, $50 million a year, and they have people in the purchasing departments for a huge amount of businesses contacting them daily. Some tens, some hundreds, and they go through these a lot. So you want to make yourself stick out. You want to diversify yourself a little bit. You want to seem professional. The more professional you seem, the better response you're going to get, the more serious they're going to take you. And believe it or not, usually the better price you will get. These companies are looking for long-term relationships. If you send them a three-sentence response, they're going to look at you as somebody that in your underwear working from home. They're not going to look at you as a real entity or a real company that takes yourself serious. So diving forward, let's just go over this really quick. It says, hello, my name is blank, and I am the head of purchasing department for the entity or business. That's where you put your business name. After reviewing multiple sources and suppliers, I have narrowed the list down to you and 2 others. The reason why I put 3 is because it's psychological. If you leave that out, they're not going to think that you're fishing around, that you have your heart set on them. If you put that you've narrowed it down to them and 2 others, that means that in their mind right away they say, okay, shoot, there's 2 other competitors, so there's 3 people in total. We want this business. How can we get this business? So that creates a little psychological thought process for them about, okay, we're going to have to beat them on price. We're going to have to beat them on packaging, logistics. So right off the gate, you want to be blunt with that. We love to work together and establish a lucrative business relationship. Our company is an international company. And right here in parentheses, it says company that deals with similar products to what you're trying to source. So right here, you're going to be dealing with merchandising and apparel. So then you could put apparel here. If you're sourcing baby products, you could put a company that is international dealing with baby products, electronics, whatever it is, so that you seem professional and that you are sourcing a lot of products in this area based out of where you live. So put where you're located at. And then it ends with, I would like to formally introduce myself and further discuss creating a profitable business relationship between our companies. Below are some questions I have, as well as the product specs for the product that we are trying to source. So right here, it's just a quick sentence. We will be selling this product on Amazon and would like a product similar to this. So right here in parentheses, it says paste URL to Amazon listing here. Go back over here and paste. All right. Now they might not be able to open this on their end. because they might not open it in the Excel or the Pages or whatever platform you use. But they, it saves a lot of time and it helps with specifics. So they can copy paste this and put it in their URL and find it. That will give them a good starting point. They'll see about what you're looking for. Below that, you want to include the product specs. You have product dimensions. So put the dimensions that you're looking for, if it's small, medium, large, if it's 16 inches, 20 inches, whatever it is. Make sure you're as specific as you can be as to what product you want to source. Because there's thousands of different products, and usually these manufacturers manufacture dozens of different variables or different types of products. So make sure once you do your research and you find the product that you want and you track them, make sure you get the product dimensions. Let me see, this listing I don't believe really had any dimensions. Here you can see the different sizes. So if you're looking to include different variables, let's say you want to do the small through large, all you'd have to do is copy paste this and insert it next to product dimensions. And this would let them know that, hey, I'm trying to source youth small all the way up to adult large in these sleeve length dimensions, 12, 14, 15, 16, etc. Next is going to be color. So if we scroll up, you can see there's a bunch of different crazy colors. They got American flag, looks like stitching from a baseball. They've got some digital camels here, digital camo in different colors. American flag, the breast cancer supporter, a bunch of different colors. So right here in the color, you would say, hey, I'm trying to source, I want to source black. I want to source white. I want to source red. I want one that looks like a baseball. And when you're sending this, usually you can even leave it open. You can put for color, you can put the colors you're looking for, the designs you're looking for, and then send pictures of other options that you have. They might introduce you to a different product or a different variable of a product that your eyes weren't open to, that you might end up liking and wanting to use. So material, based on the different products that you're using, make sure you put the material that you want. Some products can have different variables of material. All right, so right here you see that they advertise sports sleeve features moisture wicking material. Materials 80% polyester, 20% spandex. So here next to material, if this is the product that you were interested in, the product that you want to source, you would put material 80% polyester / 20% spandex, and that you want the wicking material that will keep your arms dry, and they got this. So if you do not specify the material, they will send you the cheapest material that they will use. So let's say 20% spandex is the most expensive. They might just send you polyester. And I'm just using this as an example, but what I want you guys to really catch and take from this is, when you're dealing with overseas manufacturers and suppliers, you really have to be as specific as possible. And you really have to make everything detail-oriented. You don't want to send them big chunks of paragraphs with multiple questions. You want everything to be detailed. You want everything to be organized. If you're asking multiple questions, you want it to be separated with colons or in numerical order. This way, when you get a response back, you don't get one broad response to 10 or 15 different questions. You get a numerical or alphabetical response, which is very specific. Trust me, I've dealt with a lot of suppliers overseas, and if you do not take this approach, you will get very broad answers that do not help you. So trust me on that. So next is the shape, if this applies. After that is function and packaging. So real quick on the packaging, depending on your product, this one might come in a nice little bag that you want to source in private label. Some products might come in a little box, mail tube. However it is, make sure that you specify this here. We are going to be private labeling, so packaging is huge. You want to have a nice packaging. You want to make sure it has product specs on it. You want to make sure it has your UPC code on it. You want to make sure it has your brand name and all that good stuff on there. So after the product specs, we have please enter your answers below the questions in red and bold text. The reason I put this is just going back to what we just mentioned about being specific. That way they can just copy these, put them in an email, and then put their response below in red text. It's real easy to read, real easy to find. Whether you're doing this now, you're grinding out your first product, second product, or a year down the road, you explode this thing and you start going the VA or virtual assistant route. That's the beautiful thing about this business. It's so scalable. After you familiarize yourself, you've created success for yourself, you can scale this by going to Pakistan and sourcing virtual assistants, at $3, $4, $5 an hour to do all this legwork. You can give them a criteria. Hey, here's the link to Amazon. I want compression arm sleeve. Here's my manufacturer template. Go respond to 10 suppliers and then send me the results back. Now you've eliminated your job to all you have to do is read the different responses, look at the metrics and the prices, and go from there. So, this is really a scalable business. It's something that you can do once you guys gain familiarity with it and get better at this, which will happen in due time. Perseverance is the key. You have to be patient. That's a big key. That's something that when I started out, I didn't have patience. I wish I would have had patience. I found the product. I looked for the cheapest one. I contacted that supplier, and that's it. I didn't know about this. I didn't have anybody showing me this. So I'm trying to help you guys save a lot of money and time. With this technique, you're going to get the best prices. You're going to get the best supplier. You're going to get the trading assurance. You're going to make sure that your products don't arrive damaged or broken. And there's no shot in the dark. With this is certainty. It's not guesswork. And when I started out, I bought product and I prayed when it was on the way to the fulfillment center. And then when you get all these bad reviews can be prevented through inspections and just through being real specific in the starting phase of communicating with your supplier. So let's go over these 4 questions that I have on the template. Number 1, do you offer samples of the product? How much will you charge? Please include price of DHL Express shipping to United States, zip code, address. This is where you put your address. And then last but not least, we would be willing to cover shipping costs via PayPal and then put if necessary. So you could split. Sometimes you'll split the cost with them. Sometimes they'll make you pay for it. Sometimes they'll say that they will, they want to take the leap of faith and they'll ship it to you, the product sample, and pay for the shipping costs free of charge. So whichever that is, you want to do that through DHL Express. You don't want an e-packet. That's going to take forever. That way you can get this, you can sample them, take a look at them. I usually ask for 2. If you're not doing your photography in-house and you're outsourcing your photography, then, get 2 units, have them shipped to you. You'll have one for yourself, and then you'll have one to send off to your photographer. If you're doing your photography and your editing and all that good stuff in-house, you know how to do all that, then one product should be fine. If you don't know how to do all that stuff, do not worry. In the resources, I will have a section for you on who I use and where you can find them at. It is very reasonable. Number 2, do you have the ability to package our product in a custom box, which will include our logo, business info, and product info? This is a huge one because you don't want to have multiple touches. You don't want to have multiple people that you have to deal with. You want to have them manufacture it in-house, okay, then create the packaging in-house. That way, when you send the products to the fulfillment center, the private label product is completed, the packaging is completed, it's got the UPC code on it, it's got your logo, all that good stuff. 9 times out of 10, they know that this is going to be a factor. If you're asking this, it's not as a it's not something that you're contemplating. It's something that you require. So if the facility does not have the capability of doing this, usually someone very close in their district that they work with will do it. So they'll just tell you yes anyway, or they will say, hey, we have a close partner, and we will include this in your price. So that's the main thing you want to do, is you want to narrow this down to one-stop shop. You want everything done in-house, or you want your supplier to take care of it. That way, by the time they get to the fulfillment center, they're ready to rock and roll. Number 3 is, what is the cost of this product per unit, including FOB shipping? for an MOQ, which is minimum order quantity, of 500 units and 5,000 units. So you want to include the price of shipping in these quotes. A lot of times, if you guys order the minimum order quantity, the supplier will furnish free shipping, and they will get it on the docks, and get it through customs for you, part of the agreement. If not, you want to make sure that they specify that and you know where you're at. That way you can do some research and maybe get some different quotes if necessary. The reason why 500, you might say, hey, I only want to buy 300 units. Why is there 500 and why is there 5,000? I definitely don't want to buy 5,000. The goal is, especially starting out, you want to get the best price possible with the least amount of risk. So virtually in a perfect world, you want to buy the 300 units at the 5,000 unit price. Now, how can you do that? The reason why I recommend asking for these two different quantities is because this is going to give you the pricing for both, the price difference for both, and you can use that for leverage in negotiations. You can start to talk about, projections. You can give them screenshots of the software. Let me scroll back over here real quick. You can give them screenshots of these projections, and say, hey, I plan on selling X amount. Here's my projections. This is what I'm going off of. But I have to get proof of concept. I have to get approval on the marketplace, and I just want to get make sure that it's accepted and that I can replicate this data. So with that being said, tell them I just want to make a small order to test the waters. Once I get proof of concept, once I prove that I can accomplish these numbers, I will then make the 5,000 units, or I will make a larger unit purchase. And you can even say a much larger unit purchase. You don't have to put an exact amount. This way it leaves the door kind of open. Trust me on this, guys. I do it all the time. It works. You definitely want to get leverage. These guys definitely, they're salesmen. They're human beings just like everybody else. They want to get sales. They want to make money. And they want to establish a relationship with the US-based seller who's going to be bringing a lot of money their way. Trust me, a lot of the Chinese know about Amazon. They know about eBay. They know about all this stuff. So once you mention you're trying to sell on Amazon, their eyes get big. They're rubbing their hands together. So they're going to try to earn your business. Number 4, let's head over to number 4 here. What is the turnaround time to manufacture as well as package both 500 and 5,000 units? What this is going to answer, this is going to help you for projections down the road for inventory levels, so you know about how much time you need when you're sourcing. This will also give you a time frame of how long it will take for them to manufacture the product. Then you have to include the shipment time. So once it's manufactured, it's shipped, it passes through customs. It arrives in the U.S. at the fulfillment center. Then you're going to have at least another 5 to 7 days to disperse to the other distribution centers once they check it in. So this is all a time frame, and you need to know your numbers. You need to know your time frame, how long it's going to take for them to manufacture, how long it usually takes on average, whether it's sea or it's air, however you're shipping it. It's DHL Express, whichever form that you use of shipment. That way, throughout the year, you can order accordingly and stay in inventory. Going out of stock on items sucks. You guys lose money. Everybody loses money. Everybody does it. I've done it. Sometimes I still do it. Sometimes it's inevitable and it's out of your hands. But the goal is 90% of the time throughout the calendar year is to stay in inventory. Fourth quarter is crazy. Fourth quarter sales can 10x. So you really want to make sure that you have that data and you know where you're at. That way you can stay in inventory. So at the end of the template, real quick, you can see I have an asterisk here. It says, please contact us with the answers to the questions listed above, as well as any other policies you feel we should know. This kind of is an exiting point where, everything comes to the light. There's nothing in the dark. If they have some crazy policy, some company policy or something, they'll let you know right there. And then you want them to know that these questions are important to you. The second sentence, you see we put, these questions are very important, and I have it capitalized, and will be a huge determining factor in choosing the manufacturer we choose to partner with. So this statement right here kills two birds with one stone. Number one, you want to make sure there's no crazy company policy that they have that they're going to spring on you at the last minute. And number two, this is going to let them know that these 4 questions up here are very important and you want everyone answered. Okay? Next, it says, we look forward to starting a business relationship that will be mutually beneficial as well as lucrative. You want to let them know that you're trying to bring them business and that you want it to be mutually beneficial. Please add me on Skype and then put the Skype account. You guys definitely want to create a Skype account. It's free. You do not want to go back and forth with these guys on Alibaba. You want to make sure that you have personal access to them at all times and that you can get to them quick. You don't want to use the WhatsApp app. A lot of people use Skype for everything else. And starting this business, you'll see you're going to start using Skype a lot, whether it's using VAs, it's people on Fiverr or Upwork that you're using for different services. So creating a Skype account, it's free. Utilize Skype. You see I put down here, send me your response via Skype or email only. All right. So, you can send them the response and have them get back to you via Skype or email. What I recommend is you might even want to separate your Skype account and your email account and use one just for suppliers. You don't want to use your personal email. And this way it helps keep everything together because, you're going to be emailing a lot of suppliers. You don't want your personal inbox or your business inbox to be all spammed out. Then you don't know what these guys are going to do with that email address. They might sell it. They might start spamming you. So I recommend it's free. It's something quick to do. I recommend creating a new email address just for the suppliers. Next, you'll see I will not respond via Alibaba. You don't want to be going back and forth on Alibaba. You want to get them out. You want to get in control. You want to get the ball in your court. Also, this lets you know that they have attention to detail. If you send this in big, bright red letters and then you never get a response back and you're cruising on Alibaba and you see they responded to you 2 weeks ago, you know that they don't have attention to detail. So if they'll mess up on this, how do you know that they're not going to mess up on your product? That is the manufacturer template. And you've got the link up here. You can even include a PNG or a JPG, an image of it. Okay? But usually what I do is I send them the template when you respond to the manufacturer. And then there'll be a little, it looks like a paper clip for an attachment. And then you can send them an attachment. So that's usually what I do. You can just go on Amazon. When you're on Amazon and you find the image, you can just save this to your desktop. All right, boom, save it in your desktop. Then when you're emailing them, just click on that little paper clip, click on the attachment, send it to them. So we got the template, we found the product, okay? You know how many sales, the average sales daily, monthly, and in that 60-day, 2-month period. So we have our numbers ran. We have our template all filled out, we have our template downloaded, and we found our supplier. We're sending this out. And I recommend, dude, when you guys are starting out, man, you want to make sure the first product, your first 3 products are successful. Dude, you can find 10 different suppliers. Send them all the same template and see who gets back to you and see who you connect with, who seems the most professional, and most definitely who has the best pricing structure. Once they start to respond with you, then you get into the negotiations. Because you already let them know at the beginning of this at the beginning of this file, that you are talking to, you've narrowed it down to 3 other contacts, okay? So them as well as 2 others. So in their mind, they already know that you're looking for the best price and you're trying to negotiate. So, don't be afraid, don't be intimidated to negotiate. You guys want to get the lowest price, which is going to make sure that you have the highest margin. So once they start responding back to you, you can start sending them stuff like, hey, you were at $1.49, but, Buddy over here was at $1.29, or, Buddy was at $1.15. And one tactic that you can do, it's a little black hat, but one tactic that you can do is you can screenshot this, upload it into Photoshop, and then erase these numbers and manipulate the numbers and send them to them, okay? You can jimmy up a fake invoice, put the picture in there, put the price in there. If you don't know how to use Photoshop, whiteboard, anything like that, you can go on Fiverr. For $5, you can send a guy a couple pictures, tell him what you want to do, tell him the price, and he'll do it, get it back to you in 2 or 3 days. Like I said, that's going to be in the resources section. Genuinely, without doing any of that, you can just find lower prices by searching on Alibaba, and then send that screenshot to them. Tell them, hey, I'd really like to work with you. I feel that we communicate well together. Can you beat this price? Another tactic is going over to 1688. This is a little bit more advanced, and it can be a little tricky. 1688, Alibaba is the B2B, the business to business for the United States, from China to the United States. 1688 is going to be the overseas B2B, so the China B2B. So everything's in Chinese. You can right click on here, translate everything to English. That'll help out, that'll help you navigate. Okay, that way you can read this stuff. It's going to show their currency. It's not going to show the United States currency. So with that being said, I found a guy right here. Let me see if I can pull. Here's the one we were looking at, $1.49. All right. This guy's at 370. This is Chinese currency. So how do you find out what the Chinese currency, convert the Chinese yuan to the USD, which is the US dollar? Just go over to Google, type in Chinese currency to USD or yuan to USD. It'll show the calculator. So here you'll see $3.70 yuan. Type in $3.70 in the Chinese yuan. It will automatically convert to the US dollar. So right here, boom, you'll see 54 cents. Okay, from a batch of 6 pieces. Let's scroll back over here. This is our guy on Alibaba we were looking at, which is at $1.50. So it's almost $1 difference. Okay, so what you could even do is you could screenshot this and send it to him and say, hey, send it to everybody who responds to you. Say, I really don't want to go with the 1688 platform. It's a little bit more time consuming. But if I have to, I will translate this, or I will hire somebody to negotiate and fulfill the order who is fluent in Chinese. So can you match this price? Sometimes they're going to say, yeah, you know what? We can match that price. Or you might even be able to find the same manufacturer on the US side and say, hey, I see what you're at on 1688. I understand shipping's a pain in the butt. Let's talk. How can we drive these numbers down? And then you have leverage on them because you're showing them, hey, I know how to source stuff in your country. I know what the price really is. And if you can't get the number down and you want to even try to shake the bucket more and lower the price even more, then you can go to Upwork, hire somebody who's fluent in Chinese, make them your VA, pay them $5 an hour, and have them deal with the manufacturer and get that 54 cents a unit. So that's a little bit more advanced. I don't recommend doing that your first time, but hey, you might even be fluent in Chinese. So there's different options and different routes that you can go when it comes time to negotiating. But bottom line is never pay that exact amount that you see here. Okay? Rather you contact multiple different sources and you make them fight against each other, and you drive down the cost that way, or you go the black hat way. You create an invoice, you manipulate the number, you send it to them and drive the number down that way, or you just grind it out. You go over to 1688, you translate everything into English, you send them a screenshot of that, or you try to find the same supplier, because everything in China is in the district. It's everything's crammed. I mean, buildings are touching each other. Everything's close. So 9 times out of 10, they're all getting their raw material from the same manufacturer, and they're all on the same strip, or they're within a couple blocks of each other. So, I mean, the possibilities are endless, but you want to drive that price down. That way you can increase your margin, and that works. And even down the road, when you want to scale, when you start hiring VAs or virtual assistants, get someone who's fluent in Chinese, who can read and write in Chinese, and have them strictly communicate with manufacturers. So you can have somebody who does the legwork and sends out the templates. Once you do the product research, find that. You can have somebody do the legwork, send out the templates. Then you can have another VA that they hand that information to once they reply, and then the other VA who is fluent in Chinese do the legwork in communicating with the suppliers. Okay.